What is up? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. It's been a struggle and tough for me to get out here to my toy building, but we're out here today. I carved out some time and I got a new figure that I wanted to talk about and I wanted to open up. And I kind of wanted to open it up on the channel here because I've never had or played with or touched or anything with one of these types of figures. So what are we talking about? We are talking about the Mythic Legions here. So these are by Four Horsemen Studios or something like that. That's what they're called. I believe it's Four Horsemen Studios. And then as you can see right there, it does say Four Horsemen, but these are the Mythic Legions. Now, these are like high quality, high detail, more expensive figures than like your Mattel Hasbro that you would just go to like a Walmart and buy. So you can't get these in like regular local retail like that. You can get them in more of like your hobby shops, your toy stores. You can get them online from their website, from places like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, things like that are where you get Mythic Legions usually. And like I said, they are a little bit more expensive. They range from like, depending on what you're getting or what kind of figure you're getting, they range from like $27.99-ish, and they go up from there depending on the figure. Like I said, some of their really big, like big size ogre figures can be like $80 to $100 plus, depending, stuff like that. But anyways, Mythic Legions now. So I've known about this line for a while, and I've wanted to get into it for a while, but like I just said, they're expensive. They're a little bit more pricier than like a Mattel or a Hasbro figure, so they're not as easy to like want to fork over that kind of money for, but they're supposed to be very good, very high quality figures. We'll open this guy up today and see. But the cool thing about this that I really like have kind of gotten into over the last little bit is there's this really deep, like rich story to all of these figures. They didn't just put out these figures and like make these random beasts and stuff like that. There's an actual story behind this whole line of figures, okay? And I haven't read all of it. I haven't read super far into it. I think there's comic books to kind of go along with this. A lot of it I've just been reading like right off their website to kind of learn the story. And for the gist of it, like kind of the basis of what I got, you know, back at like the beginning of time or whatever, there was gods that walked the earth, similar to like Greek mythology, you know, where there was a bunch of different gods, things like that. Anyways, there was two gods that fell in love. They met, they fell in love, they got together, that kind of thing, and they created basically all of the beasts, humanity, like basically everything that these kind of figures are based on. And one of the two gods fell in love with the children, loved them, blah, blah, blah. As more creations / children were created or made or whatever, there was less and less time for the spouse, which led to jealousy for the spouse. And then the spouse created the villains of the world, if you will, to kind of go against his original creation and his original children. So basically there was like this utopia where all these, you know, mankind, humanity, beasts, monsters, whatever you want to call them, all lived together, you know, like I said, in utopia where they all got along, they all did their own thing, that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, almost randomly, it seemed like to them, these beasts and monsters, you know, vampires, werewolves, things like that, you know, we correlate with evil or bad, you know, in this day and age, kind of attacked and started to take over and blah, blah, blah. There was long wars and all this stuff that like you can read into and see the history and stuff like that. And they all have that kind of background to every figure that they make. There's this rich story to them for the most part. I mean, there's some that are like army builders to where like it's just a army man or you know, like a soldier in a metal army suit that's, you know, just a soldier for you to have. You know, and he fights for whoever the captain is. And the captain has the deep, rich story, and that guy behind him is just the, you know, his henchman kind of thing. So there are figures like that. But for the most part, a lot of them have real, you know, intricate stories and how they weave into everything. So I want to take a second and I want to read what the back of this package says and just kind of give you kind of a background of what this is. So I apologize if I stutter or make some mistakes here, but I just wanted to read this just to kind of get everybody, you know, somewhat caught up with kind of the history of what we're looking at here. But So this is right on the back of the packaging of this figure. This is my first one I've ever purchased, by the way. So I just bought this today in a store local to me. They had a 4th of July 25% off sale. So I got this for 25% off of, they had it marked at $39.99. So it was like $29.99 or something. I don't know. My math is not great, but I thought that was pretty good for a figure that originally was probably, I don't know, $40 or $45 brand new. Like I got it, you know, under $30 kind of thing. So anyways, let's get into reading this and see what this says. So once there was an age so far distant that only its stories remain. These are the stories of Mythos, a peaceful kingdom populated by great beasts who walked side by side with women and men in a harmonious land, brimming with joy and prosperity. But these stories also tell of vast and terrible evil armies sent to destroy the kingdoms of Mythos and all who called them home. These stories immortalized the name of, oh, and by the way, the names, I'm going to butcher a lot of these names. So bear with me if we end up doing more of these figures or whatever, because I'm not going to be great with some of these names. But these stories immortalized the names of Laodicea, Basilia, Xylona, and Itheron, the brave beasts who stood up and fought the dark forces threatening their beloved land of Mythos. Their bravery saved Mythos, but sadly, after their stories ended, their land would remain forever stained by a darkness that will never be forgotten. Now, a new story is being written. As memories of the ancient ages have faded over time, so have those of the great beasts that once walked the earth. In their wake, 4 massive legions, each dedicated to the memory of one of the brave defenders of yesteryear, have assembled. Over the centuries, these legions have relegated evil to living in the darkest corners, far away from the noble kingdoms of Mythos. But now, an uneasiness stirs and casts a dark shadow over the land, fueled by whispers of the return of the ancient evils. Poxus, Ilithia, Arether, and Necronominus, the evil masses have mobilized their own armies dedicated to ushering in their dark master's return. The stage is now set for the greatest story of all, as good and evil clash in an epic battle to determine the destiny of Mythos, the story of Mythic Legions. So, like I said there, that's where there's this kind of deep story to all these characters. This character that I have here is Bryophytus or something like that. Bryophytus, you can kind of see it right there. It looks backwards. I don't know which way is going to be right from a camera standpoint, but yeah, Bryophytus. His kind of little insert that they have here says, deep in the hidden hills of Xylonia lies a mysterious region called the Swale, with an ecosystem all its own that teems with enigmatic creatures rarely seen by the outside world. The Swale thrives beneath the watch of a heroic defender named Bryophytus, a lichen orc with the ability to absorb and redirect the power of the plant life around him. Bryophytus serves as a shining example known for bringing order and peace to the land. So pretty cool there. I think this symbol on the side represents like what faction he's in. I believe he's also not considered canon or not considered like part of the main story. He was like a special figure that came out for like a Comic-Con or something that they went to. I'm not positive on that, but I believe that's accurate with this. But he still has a story kind of based in Mythos. He just wouldn't be part of like the main story, if you will. He just kind of has his own little side story, but I believe that's the faction symbol for whatever faction that he's in. I believe. I could be wrong there, but I think that would make sense. This also has a striking resemblance to Mossman from He-Man, Masters of the Universe. If you know that series, I'm not super familiar with He-Man. I was a little young, or I am a little young for that when it was big on TV with the cartoons and whatnot. But I'm fairly certain this is kind of loosely based on Mossman from at least the way he looks. So let's pop this open. We've been talking a lot and reading a lot and whatnot. So this is my first Mythic Legion. This will be my first time touching one, opening one, seeing one, like playing with one. It has like a resealable card too, so you can slide these kind of in and out if you wanted to. So I guess that kind of makes it hard to know if you're getting an actual mint on card figure, but there's your bag of accessories. We'll kind of pop through those also. That. Yeah, there's kind of the card with his description and everything and that. I'm not going to end up keeping this. You can read that little excerpt there on their website. So if I ever do want to read that again or see any of that, I can read it right on their website so I can know or remember his story or be refreshed on it. He's got this big kind of like mace thing. That's pretty cool. That's probably the weapon I'll have him hold when I display him. But we'll check out what else is in here. There's definitely some other stuff. There's like a big staff, which kind of looks cool. But I don't know. Let's keep going here. Let's get these zippy ties off. Yeah. Pop this off. Sometimes with these more expensive figures too, their joints are so tight and like things like that their legs and stuff break. I hope that's not an issue with these. I've had issues with some of the other figure companies with that where like you try to pose it or try to stand them up and like the foot will snap off at the joint because the joints are so tight. And a lot of people say like, oh, you should use a hairdryer to heat them up before you move them or play with them or whatever. But like, I don't feel like that should be necessary for something that I'm buying with the intent of posing it or moving it around. So that kind of frustrates me when that has to be done or that happens or whatever. But yeah, for first glimpse, like he looks pretty good. One thing I do like is he does have footholes. So like hopefully one of the Mattel stands or the AEW stands for the wrestling figures will work with these if I need them or want them for certain figures. His ankles were kind of like pointed, like if this was his foot, they were kind of pointed down in the package, but the ankles seem to move pretty well to get him more flat-footed right off the rip. So I like that because, like I said, to me that's the biggest one because you move the feet joints so much to try to get them like to where they can stand well that those are almost always the first joints that I start to move, and that's where I lost some of my other figures was that ankle joint just busts right off. But he looks pretty sweet. Like he's really cool out of the package. He's got like a flocked type feel. If you know what that means, a lot of Funko Pop collectors probably know what a flocked feel is, but the moss on him is like an actual fur. The only problem with that is he is starting to shed. Like I just wiped it all off, but I have like some green junk on my like table here that I'm leaning on. But other than that, he looks really cool. I do like this figure. I'd be curious to like, it's a shame this is the first one that I got because of that flocking on him, that it's a little bit like weird. I'm trying to probably be a little bit more delicate than I need to be because I don't want all that stuff to fall off and make a mess mainly. But he is a really cool figure. I like this figure. I'm excited to try to get maybe a few more of these. I don't want to be like a completist on Mythic Legions by any means because there's a lot of figures and I'm way behind. This line started in like 2015, I want to say. So I'm definitely way behind, and some of those early ones are super expensive. And I don't necessarily even want everything that comes out brand new now. I just want the figures that I think look super cool, or the characters that I really like when I'm reading the stories and things like that. This one I got because I saw him locally, so I didn't have to pay shipping or like worry about waiting days or anything for him. And I also thought it was kind of cool that he's based on like a He-Man character almost. So I thought that was kind of fun. And like I said, it was nice that he was local. I went to a toy store today in hopes to find some of these Mythic Legions, and they only had two, this one and one other one. So I picked up one, and maybe I'll go back a different day and get that other one if they still have it. But either way, I really like this figure already. These are kind of cool. He comes with these, well, he has a belt, first of all, or a sash, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it might be like one of those shoulder straps that kind of goes across your body like at an angle like this, and then you put your weapon in the back behind it. If you think about like a knight or a, I don't know, like an archer maybe, something like that. But he has these real big shoulder pads. Those are kind of cool. I'll have to see, how do those go on him? Huh. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so on this side, sorry, there's a like a thing that comes out, And then on his back, he has these holes right there. So they should just clip on in. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there. Nice, nice, nice. I got it. You kind of got to make sure his arm's positioned right, because he has the shoulder pad, obviously. So like his arm can't be super lifted up to be able to. Yeah, there we go. Now he's looking badass. Look at him. Yeah, baby. I got some big shoulders. Let's see what else we got here. This. What the heck is this? Oh, this is the top of his staff. So there's this thing I thought was like a ponytail almost when I first grabbed it, but it's the top of the staff here. So there we go. Yeah, it looks like that guy, and he's got this staff here. He has a knife, like a little dagger there, and a sheath to put it in. Nope, I'm putting it in the wrong way. There we go. And then the dagger has like a little hook there, so you can hook it on him. I would assume it'll hook probably anywhere you really wanted it, I guess. I don't know if it's got somewhere specific that it goes. I'm not really sure. I wonder, no, there wasn't any pictures or anything, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm not sure how I want to display him. I also have this. I'm probably not going to put this on him because I like how he looks like this, where he's kind of like still looking, I don't know what the word is, natural or nature-esque, if you will. I mean, I know the big shoulder pads and stuff are a little bit weird, but I'm not sure if I want him to have the staff or the big, like, mace thing. Because I like this staff with the weird, like, ponytail thing. And it kind of makes it go with the story, I feel like, a little bit better, because he's, like, supposed to control the, you know, the nature or the plants and stuff around him. And I feel like a big mace, you don't, like, that would just be for clobbering on things. Whereas, like, this staff, it kind of looks like he controls, you know what I mean? Like more of a magician type thing, like controlling the plants and stuff, you know? Like, I feel like I'm going to keep him with this staff and pose him. Maybe something like that, or I could pose him something, you know, like where he's holding the staff up, like he's, you know, commanding his plants to do something, you know, like that kind of deal. Like oh, time to go to war. I guess I didn't even pull it out and show you. There's a whole other head here. Man, this green stuff is making a mess on my table. But that's okay. I mean, I wanted to play with these guys anyways, so it's not like I wasn't going to touch them. Man, that's really weird. That's the other head that he comes with. So, pretty cool there. It's more of like the chin comes out to a point more, I think, is really the only difference. Because, I mean, like, you can see his teeth and everything in that one. I guess his teeth are a little smaller in this one. They're not as, like, big and pointy. And same with his ears. His ears are a little smaller in this one compared to this one where they're, like, real big and defined. I like the original head, to be honest. I think it looks good. So, I'll probably keep him and display him like this, where he's got his big staff and everything, and looks pretty cool there. I don't know, do I have a stand around here that I can test? Like the ringside stand? Let me see if the Mattel one works, just to test it out here. Let's see. Oh yeah, the Mattel stand works nicely. The Mattel WWE ones that you can get on ringside, they work just fine. Nice and tight, not going anywhere. There he is. So that's really cool. I do have a bunch of those, so if I want to use those, I will, or I can. I don't know that I want to use one for every single guy, because I'm hoping to get more of like action type poses with these guys, depending on how many more I get, rather than wrestlers where like they don't, I mean, you can pose them like they're doing a wrestling move or whatever, but for the most part, they're just kind of standing there, if that makes sense. Like on display or on a shelf, you're not really having them fight, I guess. I mean, you can do whatever you want. They're your toys, but I just have them all standing so you can see them and tell which gear they're wearing, things like that. But for these guys, I'd like to have more of like an actual scene happening. To where I might just have him stay on the stand, because I'd like him to almost be like the commander, and then there could be guys around him, you know what I mean? But there's not really any other like plant type guys I don't think that they've come out with. So he may just be like on his own shelf with some of the other guys that are kind of one-offs, if you will, if I get any of those. But yeah, man, this video went longer than I anticipated, I guess, but pretty cool figure. I do enjoy these. I'm excited to get more and kind of pose them and play around with them. Like I said, this one I didn't do anything super crazy with, just because he's shedding so bad from that flocking material, which is unfortunate. Not a ding on the company by any means, but like it's just kind of to be expected with a flocked material if you're going to touch it or play with it in any capacity. So, you know, like I said, all that green stuff's kind of all over the place. But other than that, this is the Mythic Legions. I know these have been out for a while, so anybody that's big into Mythic Legions might know a ton more than I do, but I'm just getting into it, just starting to learn about it and read the stories and stuff like that. So I'm excited to learn more and play with more and kind of build out my universe, if you will. Because these are really cool and really fun. I like I like mythology in general, so all these mythic beasts and creatures and stuff will be fun for me. So anyways, this has been Dylan. This is my kind of 4th of July video, if you will, and I will see you guys in the next one.